in American Sign Language. So I'm going to read a passage from the Quixote, and Joe Halcott, my colleague here, is going to interpret in American Sign Language. Please enjoy and appreciate this interpretation that Joe is going to make for us. Okay. We're going to read from chapter 8 regarding the good fortune of the valorous Don Quixote in the fearful and never imagined adventure of the Windmills, along with other events worthy of joyful remembrance. As they were talking, they saw 30 or 40 of the windmills found in that countryside, and as soon as Don Quixote caught sight of them, he said to his squire, "Good fortune is gilding our affairs better than we could have desired. For there you see, friend Sancho Panza, 30 or more enormous giants with whom I intend to do battle and whose lives I intend to take. And with the spoils we shall begin to grow rich, for this is righteous warfare. And it is great service to God to remove so evil a breed from the face of the earth." I think his interpretation is a lot more interesting than my reading. What do you think? "What giants?" said Sancho Panza. "Those you see over there," replied his master, "with the long arms. Sometimes they are almost 2 leagues long." Excellent. "Look, your grace," Sancho replied. "Those things that appear over there, they're not giants, but windmills. And what looks like arms are the sails that are turned by the wind and make the grindstone move." "It seems clear to me," replied Don Quixote, "that thou art not well versed in the matter of adventures, Sancho Panza. These are giants, and if thou art afraid, move aside and start to pray whilst I enter with them in fierce and unequal combat." Excellent. And having said this, he spurred his horse Rocinante, paying no attention to the shouts of his squire Sancho, who warned him that beyond any doubt, those things he was about to attack were windmills and not giants. But he was so convinced that they were giants that he did not hear the shouts of his squire Sancho. He could not see, though he was very close, that they really were. Instead, he charged and called out, Flee not, cowards and base creatures, for it is a single knight who attacks you. Just then a gust of wind began to blow, and the great sails began to move. And seeing this, Don Quixote said, "Even if you move more arms than the great Briareus, you will answer to me." And saying this and commending himself with all his heart to his lady, to his lady Dulcinea, asking that she come to his aid at this critical moment, and well protected by his shield, with his lance in his socket, he charged at Rocinante full gallop and attacked the first mill he came to. And as he thrust his lance into the sail, the wind moved it with so much force that it broke the lance into pieces and picked up the horse and the knight, who then dropped to the ground and were very badly battered. Sancho Panza hurried to help him as fast as his donkey could carry him. And when he reached them, to discover that Don Quixote could not move because he had taken so hard a fall with Rocinante. "God save us," said Sancho. "Didn't I tell your grace to watch what you were doing, that there were nothing but windmills, and only somebody whose head was full of them wouldn't have known that?" "Be quiet, Sancho, my friend. Didn't I tell your grace to watch?" Whoops. "Be quiet, Sancho, my friend," replied Don Quixote. "Matters of war, more than any others, are subject to continual change. Moreover, I think, and therefore it is true, that the same Freston the Wise who stole my room and my books has turned these giants into windmills in order to deprive me of the glory of defeating them. Such is the enmity he feels for me, but in the end, his evil arts will not prevail against the power of my virtuous sword." "God's will be done," replied Sancho Panza. He helped him to stand, and Don Quixote remounted Rocinante, whose back was almost broken. And talking about their recent adventure, they continued on the road to Puerto Lápice, because there, said Don Quixote, he could not fail to find many diverse adventures, since it was a very heavily trafficked place. But he rode heavy-hearted because he did not have his lance. Thank you very much for listening and looking. And Joseph, thank you very much for the interpretation.